Hey everyone, my name is Luis, and welcome back to the channel. Boyfriend Dungeon is the newest indie from the Nintendo Indie World Direct that I'm tackling. Picture roguelike dungeon crawling, but with a dating sim as you romance half weapon, half human partners in what feels like a fusion of Hades and Persona. The 6-hour adventure had me romancing men and women of different backgrounds, all while balancing a surprisingly well thought out and impactful story. With that said, it's surely to be a divisive game for its writing and whether this game is truly something you should play or avoid for reasons outside of its game quality. But before we jump into this review, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon to stay up to date on my reviews. Any comments and likes on the video also helps it come up in search, so let me know, what's your favorite dating sim and why? I'll be replying in the comments down below. No beating around the bush here, Boyfriend Dungeon tackles some heavy subjects regarding stalkers and the general creeps that can come out of modern dating. It's a sad reality of the dating scene, and one that this game doesn't really shy away from. It offers a content warning that will be updated in a patch next week to better specify what to expect from those more sensitive to the subject matter. It's not an easy topic to play through for many, and it's with that said that I have to say if you're someone that struggles with that, I don't think this is a game for you. There's a general uneasiness to it that might leave you feeling more uncomfortable than enjoying the game. For me, I had no issues playing through the story, in fact I thought it was well executed. There are certainly other options for dealing with these types of people in real life, but for the sake of its story, conflict, and the overall plot of the game, I can understand why the developers didn't give you the option to simply block a person you didn't like. Otherwise, there really wouldn't be much of a story to tell with this game's plot. As for the actual story, we play as a custom character that we can go by either he, she, or they, as you take a summer vacation to visit your cousin in Verona Beach. This tropical getaway is less of a vacation and more of a mission to get you to start dating. With the help of your cousin, you'll be set up on dates with different men and women your cousin is familiar with. Whoever you end up romancing is completely up to you, but I thought Boyfriend Dungeon did a great job at crafting distinct personalities for its handful of characters, both those supporting and the antagonist. This isn't just some ordinary world either. Here there are people who can transform into weapons, and those that can use them are called wielders. Together the two go dungeon crawling in what are dungeons that hold the deepest fears of those exploring it. I found the premise to be interesting, one that leads to both spicy and funny moments in its writing. Now for full transparency, I'm a straight progressive POC living in Los Angeles with plenty of LGBTQ friends and family that help paint this insightful and understanding atmosphere of the community for me. And in many ways I thought Boyfriend Dungeon was able to capture that in a thoughtful and understanding way. These characters weren't great characters because they were gay, but were well-written characters, some of which just happened to be gay or bi. Furthermore, I love that these characters weren't just stereotypes of a generic dork or generic jock or generic shy person, as some other superficial dating sims tend to approach these characters. The characters in this game had their time to develop alongside with the story that while I did enjoy, towards the end of it did start to feel like an abrupt ending. What Boyfriend Dungeon does suffer from is a bait and switch of giving you just enough of what it advertises to be, but not before quickly ending it, and I do want to note that other dating options are planned for a future release, and there's always a possibility for additional content beyond that, but for the time being, this is how the game is. Boyfriend Dungeon is very much a 50% dungeon crawling and 50% dating simulator. When you're not in dungeons fighting alongside your partners, you're in the overworld going from objective to objective on the city map. You can shop around for new clothing options, buy materials to craft gifts for your partners, meet up with your partners for dates, or just chill out at your apartment. You can think of your apartment as your home base where you can change your appearance, craft gifts, and other items on your workbench. At any point you can pull up your phone, and this is the game's main form of communication in the form of text messages. You'll constantly be receiving text messages from potential partners, friends, and family as you journey through the 6-hour story. Through text messages, you can reject and accept dates from people you meet around town or people your cousin sets you up with. Going on dates with people lets you further increase your relationship rank with them in a similar fashion to the social link system in the Persona series. As you rank up a relationship, you'll earn new abilities or powers that will benefit you in the dungeons. Inside the roguelike dungeons, you'll come across manifestations of your biggest fears that you fight against alongside your chosen weapon partner. Each partner transforms into a different weapon, may it be a sword, dagger, or a scythe, just to name a few examples. Each of these weapons naturally plays differently from another, with different hitboxes and attack speeds that further entice you to experiment with your partners. Naturally, this also affects the dating sim part of the game as well. You might want to pursue a romantic relationship with one character for their story route, but might also be interested in another character for their weapon. It's an interesting balance that, I will admit, got me to try other characters I wasn't really interested in, but was happily surprised to find out how great their story route was. What was a bit disappointing was the shallowness of the dungeons. Dungeons follow a multi-floor approach where you can come across various rooms on each floor, some with enemies, some for buying healing items, and others for taking a break to just get some relationship points with your weapon partner. Combat was a simple mix of light and heavy attacks that mix and match both for different combos depending on your weapon. Alongside your attacks, you can hold a healing item and a magazine that is varied in power-ups. While I enjoyed my initial time exploring them, I slowly came to realize that there are only 2 dungeons in the entire game, and by the time I started to get my groove for the combat and the RPG mechanics, the dungeons were pretty much done. Ultimately, while I enjoyed my time playing both aspects of the gameplay, I was ultimately left wanting more with what felt like a tease of what was to come but never came. Boyfriend Dungeon has a lovely art style that mixes hand-drawn animated cutscenes, sketched out character portraits, and an isometric dungeon crawler to go alongside it. I was always amazed by the amount of effort that went into the various cutscenes that introduced our many partner options. When speaking of the visual novel aspect of the game, character portraits looked well drawn with expressive facial features that were able to convey the various emotions felt during conversations. The isometric presentation during both combat and exploration was reminiscent of many of the indies found on the Apple Arcade platform, with the sharp display and our little cute avatar on display at all times. Oddly enough, it sort of reminded me of a 3D version of the Guilty Gear Strive lobby system. I just found it very charming. As for performance, I played my review copy on Nintendo Switch and was pleased with how things ran in both handheld and in dock mode. Dock mode looked like it ran at 1080p 60 performance with the occasional dip when things got a bit too heated, but nothing as far as ruining the experience. In handheld mode, that lowered down to 720p 60 FPS with similar dips in heavy situations. As a portable game, I felt the experience was perfect. I even went as far as to take the tabletop experience with me to the gym to dungeon crawl and do high incline walks. And while I didn't get a chance to play on other platforms, if the experience was fine on Switch, then you can expect better performance on other platforms. Okay, hear me out. If you don't play Boyfriend Dungeon, then do me a favor and at least check out the album in the description, because my gosh, Boyfriend Dungeon soundtrack is nothing short of magnificent. Madeline McQueen lends her vocals to various songs on the album, and boy does it sound great. Without a Weapon is easily one of my favorite video game songs ever. It's so damn catchy. The instrumental work by Marsky perfectly accompanies the singing while also standing its ground as solid battle music by itself. After the great music is some just as good voice acting. It may not feature fully voiced dialogue, but a lot of the more pivotal moments in the story are voiced as they transition to silent pieces for longer conversations. I would have loved to see this game get the full voice acting treatment, but with it being an indie game, I can understand the production costs and the limits there. Nevertheless, I was just as enthralled by the voice work done for both the characters I enjoyed and didn't enjoy. Boyfriend Dungeon has a lot going for it, and while I loved playing it, it ended up feeling like a teaser for a larger game I wish it was. The story, though it may be a bit jarring for some, I found to be thought-provoking and well-written, tackling uncomfortable subjects in insightful ways. The dating sim and dungeon crawling was an odd but well-balanced combination that worked well together. Sadly, both left me wanting more, and before I realized it, the game was over. That's perhaps what Boyfriend Dungeon suffers the most from, its length and content. While the new character additions are sure to add some replay value once they eventually come to the game, in the end, I just wanted more time to spend with these lovable characters and more dungeons to explore in the sense that it felt like it was missing from the game, rather than it being so good I just wanted more of it.